بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to have our third session on philosophical psychology or النفس الفلسفي. And as we said, today inshallah we discuss the arguments for immateriality of the soul. But before we go into the arguments, we need to explain what we mean by soul, which type of the soul we are discussing, what are different views about immateriality of the soul. Some may think all kinds of soul, whether it's vegetative, animal or human, they are material. Some may think they are immaterial, some may distinguish. So we have variety of views among philosophers and thinkers. Even in the Muslim world, we have some different opinions. So let us first start with definition of material and immaterial. When we say soul is material or immaterial, what do we mean by material or immaterial? In Arabic we say maddi and mujarrad. So it says that sometimes philosophers, when they say madda, they mean the primary matter, al-maddatul ula, which is also known as hayula, which for masha'in it's a kind of substance, because one of the types of substance is madde ula, in addition to surat and jism and nafs and aql, and according to some mithal. So we have madde, and they mean madde ula, hayula, is the substance free from any form, free from any actuality, is 100% potential. Even sometimes they say la fi'liyata laha illa annahu la fi'liyata laha, which means it has no fi'liyat, it has no actuality, it's fully bil quwwa, potential. The second kind of madda is al-maddatu thaniya, secondary matter. And when we say secondary, we don't mean between 1 and 3. Here we mean by secondary what is not primary. When madde ula accepts a surah, a substantial form, then it can become by itself subject for another surah, a higher surah. For example, madde ula and surat al-jismiyya then becomes jism, and jism by itself can take something higher. For example, jism can become jism nami. So madde thaniya is anything which is not primary matter, is not 100% potential. It's a combination of potentiality and actuality, which is a subject, like a platform for a higher surah or substantial form to belong to. According to Masha'un, jism accepts sowar no'iyye for different types of anwa, species. According to Sheikh Ishraq, it's not the relation between Jawhar and a higher Jawhar. It's Jawhar and Araz. So he believed that Suvaranoia are A'raz, or accidents, not substance. Now, when we talk about Madde Thaniya, which has at least Madde Ula and Surat Jismiya, then it becomes something which has properties of jism, of a physical body. And therefore, it can be something that occupies space, can be something that you can point at. So in Madde Ula, you cannot point at Madde Ula. It doesn't occupy a space. But in Madde Thaniya, as soon as it gets Surat Jismiya, it becomes something that has 3 dimensions, occupies a space, you can point at it. So the author says this is Maddi that we use when we talk about whether soul is Maddi or Mujarrad. And Mujarrad would be the opposite to it. So it says in the box to highlight, it says Maddi به جسم طبیعی و جوهر یا عرض جسمانی اطلاق می شود که پذیرای اشاره حسی است. So it's a natural body or according to مشائین or عرض جسمانی according to اشراقین. اشراقین believe it is عرض, which accepts pointing with, for example, your finger or any pointer, you can point at it. Mujarrad, it's opposite to it, means it's not jism tabi'i or jismani. It's neither it is jism tabi'i, natural body, nor a quality or property related to that, and doesn't accept ishariya hissi. We cannot physically point at it. So with this definition now, we want to start our main discussion, whether soul in its different types is material, maddi, or immaterial, mujarrad. We mean by maddi to be jism or jismani, by immaterial to be something that has no jism or jismani and cannot be pointed at physically. According to Masha'un, we have one type of mujarrad, which is mujarrad aqli. It is something that doesn't have any madde, and it is like intellect. According to Shaykh Ishraq, we have also, in addition to that, another jawhar that he had experienced in his mukashafat and in his mystical experiences. He said that he was able to witness, to have intuitive understanding of mujarrad misali. Therefore, in the discussion about jawahir, some say it's 5, some say it's 6 types. They add misal because Ishraqiyun believe that misal is also a jawhar. Mujarrad misali that Shaykh Ishraq mentions is something that you cannot say it has weight or it has, I don't know, physical mass, but at the same time it may have some of the characteristics of jism. For example, the person that you see in the dream has maybe the same shape, the same size, fat, thin, tall, short, different colors. You can recognize this is the same person, but this is mithal of that person. It's not that that person with his body has come to your dream. With jawhar mithali, or in barzakh, for example, the same. Mujarrad aqli doesn't have shape or size, etc. It's completely free from anything related to madde. So when we talk about immateriality of the soul or tajarrud soul, what we mean is that if we believe in this, or those who believe in this, they believe that nafs is neither jism nor jismani. So it's not a physical object, nor a quality or property of physical objects. And it can be something that is settled, is inhabited in a physical object, or it's a quality of that. Maybe not necessarily it's intiba', maybe it's not contained inside, but it is related to madde, if you say it's maddi. So let us see some of the schools of thoughts, ideas about this. For example, materialistic approach says that everything is material, everything is empirical. They deny anything above madde, other than madde. Anything immaterial, they don't accept. It's obvious that for these people, they don't believe in immaterial soul. They believe that if there is soul, that is also material. So human soul is also something related to human body, in the sense that it's not substantially different from body. Some Muslim theologians, some mutakallimun, not people like Khaja Nasiruddin Tusi and people after him, because after Khaja Nasiruddin Tusi there is a close connection between kalam and philosophy. But in the time before that, or even after that, in some parts of Muslim world who don't follow Khaja Nasiruddin Tusi and his like, they say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mujarrad, because he cannot be maddi. He is mujarrad. He doesn't occupy space, doesn't have weight, you cannot point at him, physically, etc. Allah is mujarrad. On the other hand, they say laysa kamithlihi shay. There is nothing like him. When they add these two premises together, the result is that nothing else can be mujarrad, because he is mujarrad and there is nothing like him, so everything else must be maddi. They don't accept that nafs, even nafs insani, can be mujarrad. They say anything has to be maddi, because we need to keep distance with creatures and Allah. Allah is mujarrad, anything else is maddi. Like for example, Allah is qadim, eternal. Anything else has to be created, has to be hadith. Although philosophers had the idea that Allah is qadim, but some of the creatures like angels and intellects are also qadim. There is no problem. Hadith is dependent on God. Contingent beings which are eternal are also dependent on God. If something has been always there, not created in a specific time, it means that the dependence on God is always there. Not that we think that if they become qadim, means they don't need cause, they become wajibul wujud. So, some mutakallimin also have this idea that only Allah is mujarrad. Everything else is maddi. So they become like the materialistic people who say everything is maddi because they don't believe in God. So they say everything is maddi. These theologians say everything other than God is maddi, so it means the whole creation is maddi. What is the opinion of peripatetic philosophers, Masha'un? So they say nafs nabati and haywani, vegetative soul and animal soul are certainly maddi. They don't believe in immaterial soul for plants, trees, flowers. They don't believe in immaterial soul for animals. ولی نفس انسانی در حدوث و بقا مجرد است. روحانیت الحدوث، روحانیت البقا. They say human soul is immaterial at the time of creation and later. It's always immaterial, human soul, not vegetative soul or animal soul. So, the soul which is responsible for growth or ihsas, sensation, which are in vegetative soul for growth and ihsas and idrak for animal soul, they are not mujarrad. So when animals die, according to this opinion, it seems natural to think that they have no resurrection, because soul is the one that is guaranteeing eternity. If they are material, then after they die, there is no resurrection. Even an embryo in his early weeks, for example, before the soul is created, is material. If embryo, for example, after a month dies, there is no human soul, because soul is created after 120 days almost. But human soul is mujarrad, is immaterial, is gifted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when the body goes through some changes and transformation, at a certain point Allah sends this immaterial soul. This immaterial soul in its essence is mujarrad, jawharun mujarradun zatan, but when it comes to actions, al-muta'alliqu bil-madda fi'lan. Nafs is weak and needs to use body. It's like the captain that uses, for example, ship and guides it, but the captain without the ship cannot travel. So nafs is outside body, but not in a physical sense. It's not inside, it's not included inside, but is at the same time guardian for the body. Masha'un, as I said, they don't believe in immateriality of animal soul. Mullah Sadra has a special idea here. Mullah Sadra says, I agree with Masha'in that vegetative soul is material and never becomes immaterial, and there is no resurrection, etc. This is for nafs nabati. When it comes to animal soul, unlike Masha'un that say animal soul is always material, he says animal soul is first material, then becomes maddi and mithali at the same time. So there is element of materiality and element of mithali, and then becomes mithali only. Human soul at the beginning is maddi mithali, and then becomes purely mithali. Even in some people, very rarely, after the second stage, the nafs becomes maddi, misali, aqli. Even they get access to the aqli world. And then it becomes misali and aqli. Maddi drops. Inshallah, we will talk about it later. So, if we want to summarize what Mullah Sadra says, he says, نفس نباتی همیشه مادی است و هیچگاه به تجرد نمیرسد. The vegetative soul is always material and never becomes مجرد, immaterial. نفس حیوانی is first material, then becomes مادی مثالی, and then مثالی محض, purely مثالی. Human soul is at the beginning مادی, then becomes مادی مثالی, and then مثالی محض again. In some people, not everyone, people for example like Allama Tabatabai, I heard that one of the students of Allama asked him, have you experienced alam aql? I heard, I am not 100%, and he said tahaddi. And the person who was explaining this means that he has really experienced, because there is no hudud in alam aql. He wanted to, be very humble, but if you have got access to alam aql, it means that you understand, because there is no limits and no, separations that much in alam aqul. In any case, some people reach maddi misali aql and then misali aqli. Now, because Mullah Sadra's idea about immaterial soul is very important and is more recent compared to Ibn Sina or Sheikh Ishraq, and many people after Mullah Sadra have accepted his idea. So now we want to expand on Mullah Sadra's account of immateriality of the soul. Is there any questions so far?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. So, Mullah Sadra, as you know, believes that nafs is jismaniyatul huduth. He says this for nafs haywani and nafs insani. His very expression is this: فَالْحَقُّ أَنَّ النَّفْسَ الْإِنسَانِيَّةِ جسمانية الحدوث والتصرف روحانية البقاء والتعقل. So at the beginning is physical and does the actions. Nafs manipulates in the sense that runs and manages the body. But روحانية البقاء والتعقل, for continuity it's immaterial and it's responsible for ta'aqqul, for intellectual understanding and reasoning. So, according to this view, nafs is first completely material, then becomes completely immaterial. Something that we can also argue about Mullah Sadra's position, which you don't find in many books, but in some more detailed books explain, and here also it is explained, is that nafs is simple, is basit, and never loses its simplicity. So, when we have صورت نباتی, vegetative form, which is material, and then animal form comes and belongs to it, because they are one, then they should be only one soul. In animal soul we have vegetative soul. In human soul we have animal soul. We cannot have combination. We cannot have multiplicity. So besata is there, simplicity is there, but combination is not there. And nafs gradually moves towards more immateriality. As you remember, I said before that at the beginning, although nafs is immaterial but has to use the body, and body is limited. Body is forcing its limitations to nafs. For example, my body cannot see up to 2 kilometers, for example. My body cannot see. So this limits my vision because my nafs uses body as tool, as object, as body. For Mullah Sadra, nafs nabati is maddi, but nafs haywani and nafs insani are mujarrad. The meaning of jismaniyatul hudus, unlike Masha'un who said ruhaniyatul hudus wa ruhaniyatul baqa, Mullah Sadra believes in jismaniyatul hudus wa ruhaniyatul baqa, and he means نفس ایوان جوهری بسیط و سیال است که هنگام پیدایش نباتی است و با حرکت جوهری به کمال حیوانی میرسد. So human soul is a simple dynamic substance. At the time of creation it is vegetative, which is jismani. But through substantial motion, it reaches the level of animal soul. And then even can go higher. Sheikh Fayyazi has some evaluation of the ideas of Mullah Sadra, and based on that then he is critical of Mullah Sadra, some elements in Mullah Sadra's view, and he offers his own understanding. Mullah Sadra believes in general in immateriality of the soul and mentions some of the arguments for immateriality of the soul. But he is very insistent on distinguishing between baqa and beginning. He says when it comes to continuity, it's different from beginning. In the beginning it's jismani, but in continuity it becomes immaterial. Also, he believes that immateriality of the soul is of the kind that can be combined with materiality. In other words, نفس مادی و مجرد به یک وجود واحد موجود می شوند. So human beings have vegetative soul, which is immaterial. Which is material. They have animal soul and human soul, which are immaterial. They can be existing together. Mullah Sadra brings lots of references to scriptures, to the Quran, to the Sunnah, to support his idea. And maybe one of the best arguments that he uses the Quran for is this one. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Mu'minun verses 12 to 14 refers to different stages of creation. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ مِنْ طِينٍ ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَا نُطْفَةً فِي قَرَارٍ مَكِينٍ ثُمَّ خَلَقْنَا النُّطْفَةَ عَلَقَةً فَخَلَقْنَا الْعَلَقَةَ مُضْغَةً فَخَلَقْنَا الْمُضْغَةَ عِظَامًا فَكَسَوْنَا الْعِظَامَ لَحْمًا ثُمَّ أَنشَأْنَاهُ خَلْقًا آخَرَ. He says ثُمَّ أَنشَأْنَاهُ خَلْقًا آخَرَ refers to creation of the soul from body of embryo. جسمانية الحدوث وروحانية البقاء. So he has discussion about أنشأناه ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر. It is of different nature. Before that Allah talks about different things that happen to the embryo, but here he changes and he says ثم أنشأناه آخر فتبارك الله أحسن الخالقين. Sheikh Fayyazi says what Mullah Sadra, the founder of transcendent philosophy, and Allama Tabatabai, in commenting on this ayah, have said at most indicates that human soul is mujarrad. But to say that it is jismaniyatul hudus wa ruhaniyatul baqa, no. There may not be distinction between hudus and baqa here. In the book there is a mention of different ways to understand the sentence of Quran ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر. What do we mean by ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر? Do we mean بدلنا الجسم روحا? Do we mean بدلنا الموجود الجسماني موجودا مركبا من الجسم الروح? Do we mean بدلنا الموجود الجسماني بموجود بسيط جسماني وروحاني? Or we mean بدلنا الموجود الجسماني بموجود بسيط? Which one we mean? What Mullah Sadra needs is the third بدلنا الموجود الجسماني بموجود بسيط جسماني, because he believes nafs is basit. But not everyone accepts this. There are other options. Even for example, something very close to Mullah Sadra's idea is بدلنا أنشأناه خلقا آخر means بدلنا الموجود الجسماني موجودا مركبا من الجسم والروح. not بسيطا. وبدلنا الموجود الجسماني بموجود بسيط روحاني يكون الجسماني آلة. So أنشأناه خلقا آخر doesn't have two objects, two مفعول. Either this خلقا is حال or is مفعول مطلق. We have to mention also some arguments, but I think maybe it's enough for now. If you have any questions, any comments, and if you are not tired, maybe we can continue to mention some of the arguments for immateriality of the soul. Is there any question, any comment?
There isn't any comment, but we're ready to continue.
Okay, okay.
We're not tired.
Okay, very good. We don't have someone online, yeah? Brother Mustafa, etc.
Online? No, we are here 4 people, but I think there is no one in
Okay.
online.
Okay. So let me finish this part. And
Yes, we're ready.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.